This part or before
Yeah,
that?
this is it.
With the bass.
So I hear a sim. Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm gonna welcome a good friend of the show and a good friend of the band, Khun Kan, and I'm gonna let Khun Kan tell us how to pronounce his name in Thai at some point in this podcast. So I might as well do it right now. Khun Kan, could you tell us how we say your name officially in Thailand for the record?
ชื่อรุ่งการตติยสุขครับ
Okay. Does that mean anything? Do either of those mean anything, like God of Thunder or something like that? Yeah.
รุ่งการis รุ่ง is mean morning
Morning.
yeah
And Kan,
is mean beloved by the family
beloved family of the morning?
no beloved by the family
In the morning?
yeah because I was born in the morning
Ah, okay.
yeah
Oh, that's cool.
not only just in the morning
I hear you. We love you all the time, but
That's great.
your family loved you in the morning. Okay, how about the last name? Does that mean anything? Tatiyasuk.
is the third happiness
Oh, okay.
yeah
So is this a classic Thai name, or is this Chinese Thai, or is this Thai Chinese, or is this...
no Chinese before we have Chinese last name and then they changed to
Okay.
Thai. yeah
Entirely.
yeah
So that may not, people listening to us now may not understand what we just said, and it's not meant to disparage anyone, but what I found in learning Thai culture is that there's a huge demographic here with ancestry out of China.
yeah
And when folks came from China to Thailand, they had obviously Chinese names or ethnic
Yes.
Chinese names. And then there was a change sometimes in the family name and the first name, second name. And so your family had a name before and then came to Thailand and changed it?
Yeah, they changed it because they try to be more Thai.
Right.
Know? Yeah.
Are you more Thai because of the Thai name?
No, my dad's still asking me to speak Chinese.
Right.
Yeah.
So your parents were both born here? I've never asked you that.
Yeah, they're born here. Yeah.
And their parents?
No, their parents is from China.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I guess we call that what, second generation, right?
Yeah.
Do you know where they're from? Have you ever gone
think
back
it's
to
the
check?
southern part.
Huh?
Yeah, I think they call Chiu Jiao area, but I'm not sure. Never been there. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to go?
My mom just went there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How did she like it?
I said, yeah, good.
Huh? I'd be interested in talking to her about that because I've spent a lot of time in China. I've told you about that. More Chengdu and Beijing, but that's interesting. A couple of the guys I play basketball with at the club have gone back recently, first time, with their parents, and said it's fairly emotional. Does she get emotional about it, or is it more under control because she's done it before?
No, it's first time. Just look
Really?
around because she doesn't know anybody.
Oh, really?
So
No ancestry?
no one who know who, long time.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're interested in going or no?
Someday,
Yeah.
now with the COVID, no.
Right. So of my friends in Bangkok, so we've known each other, what, maybe 6-7 years now?
Yes.
Yeah, let's just say that. You've traveled a lot before, and you've traveled a lot since I've met you. I would say of the people I hang out with, you've traveled as much as most. Right? That surprises me you haven't been to China.
Yeah, I've been there, but just never in
there
that
you go.
part. Yeah.
Okay.
I went to Beijing.
Right.
Shanghai.
I thought so. I thought we talked about Shanghai because I know we talked about buying equipment in Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have many courses in audio in China.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's get down to this and do a better introduction. So Khun Kan, and I guess in Thailand when I'm speaking with the Thai person, it's a good idea to use the word Khun before, and so Khun Kan. I've never once called you that, so I apologize. So it's always been Kan. But Khun Kan runs the studio not far from here, maybe a kilometer or 2 kilometers. It's clearly,
10 minutes.
10 minutes by motorcycle.
Yeah.
It's clearly in the heart of Bangkok to me. I think it's one of the coolest recording studios I've been inside of. I haven't been in a million like you have, but I love your place. Roman Anton and the band, Frank and I, Shogo now too, we love going there, and we've been there a lot, I think. It feels like we've been there a lot. We stop by just to say hello too sometimes, but the studio is in the middle of the city, so I think it's Dynamic Recording Studio if you look it up online.
Yes.
But you also have Dynamic Designs, which is your design setup, right?
Yeah.
So you sort of have two shops in one large building.
Yeah.
And you do, what does the design piece mean?
Well, for the studio part, it's like for the recording music. But for the design part, is we are doing the acoustic design, and we do like building the studio for the other people,
Right.
for like TV station in Thailand, like Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 9, Thailand TV, all that. We build the studio for them. Yeah, we decide like how to do soundproof the room, how to control the reverberation in the room,
Right.
and design all the cable and all the equipment, where to go and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, good. So, hey, Frank, this is going to be funny. I'm going to ask Ken to do something. Could you pull the mic just a little closer so we're recording? Maybe pull it closer to you a little bit.
Like that?
Yeah. If you could just slide it forward. Isn't that funny? How many times has he told me that? Joe, quit singing so close. Move away. Stand away. Man.
Yeah,
Here
but
we go.
it's different, because I want the camera to see me.
There we go.
Not
Okay.
the mic
All
in
right,
front
right.
of me.
Yeah, there we go. Good. All right. Smart.
So it's
See?
just different.
He figured it out. See, I'm wrong again. The master is in the room. All right. Cut that segment out, Frank. We can't use it. Well, that's funny. So how many times have I heard that through my headset? Well, that's cool. So the two setups, and so we're going to stop by later to go see the studio, which is going to be our field trip part. So part of the Roman Anton podcast, and Frank and I sort of came up with this idea, and Shogo, is to hit the streets of Bangkok. So people, COVID or after, dialing in who want to see something cool or hear about something cool. In this episode, are going to hear about you, but also about your studio. And so musicians coming into town. I thought of this. Let me do a little quiz for myself. Michael Bolton came to record at your studio. I'm going to say his name wrong, but Ed Sheeran?
Chiran.
Sheeran. All right,
Yeah.
so it's you and me together, probably not going to get that name right.
Yeah, from England, right?
I'm not sure if I can say this, but you've had members of the royal family recording at your studio?
Yeah.
Which is a big deal, right?
Princess.
Right? The week before we came in, couple months ago, you had pretty high-profile band in Thailand recording for a full week, right?
Yeah, it's a Thai country music.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw some clips of that on YouTube. I think they must have took some camera shots in there, but that was cool to see. So why am I adding the list up? I mean, you have a ton of experience. Your studio is sought out, and it's interesting because I remember when you said, and I'm sorry if I'm talking about business stuff, but that a label had called you and said, can someone show up the night before, booking it for the day, and then a celebrity showed up the next day. And so some days it's planned long ways out. Some days people are in Thailand.
Yeah, it just come quick.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, just do it.
Yeah.
Afternoon, let's do it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily, you and I joke about Thai style, right? I don't think that's Thai style. I think that's music style, right?
Yeah.
Just
Well, you just come up with
Right.
the idea.
right. Because I think one of the coolest projects you've talked to me about, and I didn't listen to the recordings because that wouldn't necessarily be appropriate. I listened to the album when it came out. Was Bird?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the production you showed me on that was massive and really interesting. And then he had a very cool box set with his albums. And I'm not sure if there's video with it, but I think I saw some of the video that you took at the show.
They have a video too, yeah.
So very cool stuff. Very busy year for you for both the recording side and also the
concert side.
Yeah. And just to let folks know a little bit, and why I brought up the China, and why I was thinking, I know we talked about China, because I told you about that guitar street I walked in Beijing where I saw 500 guitar shops and music shops. We bought some similar equipment like those Rolly keyboards just down the road and stuff. But 2 years ago, you were in London working on an embassy.
Yeah, as a part of the design company, yeah.
Right, and so I think just to give listeners an idea, I also reached out to you to help me set up my home studio acoustically, right? Get a better grasp on it. And I think it's interesting to me because the rookie mistake is usually this. Hey, Kan, I'm going to put sponge on the ceiling and some egg cartons. And you sort of laugh and say, that's great idea. It may look cool, but it's not the best start. And you've taught me a lot about sort of sound and sort of penetration into solid objects and the need for very solid a core, right?
Yeah, they have like people, study about that, everything,
And so your guys do that, right? And you can talk about deflection or sound movement in the room.
Yeah, we can simulate.
Yeah.
Before we build, we can put all the material in with all the absorption coefficient of the material.
Right.
And then we can calculate out like how many seconds and of the reverb time is going to be in that room.
Right.
Yeah, and then we can put that time and compare it with the standard.
Right.
Yeah, the world standard.
So this takes me back to sort of just talking with you. I laughed sometimes in Thai culture. For me, I get a little confused when I'm laughing with someone, when I might be laughing maybe at someone. But the story you told me, you and I laughed a lot about when you first went to New York City. So you were a much younger man at that point. You left Thailand to go to the United States to hopefully get some additional education after schooling here, right? And you stopped when you went to the United States. Did you go to New York before Oklahoma or after?
No, after.
Okay.
Yeah.
After Florida?
Yeah, after Florida.
Okay. So you went to university, was it in Tulsa?
Yeah, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, but where I study music.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were studying music in the States?
Yeah.
And it was, Frank, you remember when you told us this? It was like big band or it was almost...
Yeah, I was playing in the big band, playing guitar.
In Oklahoma.
Reading music.
Right. Right. And you sort of said you thought maybe not for me.
No, it's really competitive.
Yeah.
Even in Oklahoma, far away, they're all like good players. You know.
Shout out to Oklahoma. We love Oklahoma.
Yeah, many people from there, like Pat Metheny from Oklahoma.
There you go. Right.
Yeah. He's good.
Yeah. And so then you sort of said, I'm going to go to Florida?
Yeah. And then I moved because like I talked to my friend at the music shop. I went there, hang out every day, And those guys was like, oh, why don't you study sound engineer? So I took a chance.
So where did you do that in Florida?
In Orlando. The school called Full Sail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's like recording school.
So was Orlando crazy Disney at that point too?
It's really close. Yeah.
So did you get caught up in all that Disney stuff when you were there?
What happened, Disney?
No, I mean just like, did you go?
Yeah, I went there, got lost in there. So
right.
big.
And did you like it? Would you like send your mom T-shirts from Disney World and like buy little Disney figures? You don't strike me as like a Disney
not like that. No. But my guitar teacher in Florida, he played in Disney World.
Nice.
Yeah.
At one of the venues, huh?
Yeah.
Probably got paid a bunch of money to go play
good
the same
money.
songs.
It's like a every week gig. Every day.
I saw a Beatles cover band, and it might not have been Disney World. It might have been the one next door. I forget what that's called.
And over there, Disney, they hired many students.
Right.
Yeah, to do work over there.
Right.
Many work because they got many show all the time.
Yeah. All right. So I don't mean to dwell on Disney, but I would have laughed if you said like you have a lifetime pass to Disney World or something crazy.
I took the course with this engineer, and he worked with Disney.
I'm sure they have awesome stuff though.
Yeah, really old guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way he makes really different.
So were you working on digital, or was it a mix of digital and tape, or what was the?
I start with analog. Yeah, with analog tape.
Nice.
And then when I start working in New York, then they changed to digital tape.
Yeah. Let's catch up to that. Let's run back, and maybe if you remember, I'm sure you do because you remember this stuff. Like, what were the top brands at the time, and what was the school using to teach you on your analog equipment?
For the mixer is Neve.
Right, Neve, right.
Neve and SSL.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you ever? I think I gave you. Gosh, that Roger and I loved that Dave Grohl.
Oh, that's Neve.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
That's his Sonic Sonic series, or that one where he had the studio, right?
Yeah, expensive. That one.
Right.
Wow.
So you worked on the Neve, and then just reel to reel, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Real digital.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
It's fun though.
Yeah, yeah. And
But
so,
when it breaks down, it's like,
yeah.
costs so much to fix.
would you ever try and fix your own gear there, or back then when it was analog?
Headphone. When it was working in New York, the only thing I have to fix every day is a headphone.
Because you're constantly breaking them.
Yeah, because we got like 60 people in the same time. So it's 60 headphones every day. Everybody was just pulling it out.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
can't just throw them out, right? You got to try and fix them.
Yeah, we have to change that frame, fixing.
Yeah. So you leave Orlando and you get a degree,
Yeah.
and then you go to New York City. And this is the story that I laughed at. Frank, I think you heard this. You remember this one maybe. A really cool thing about Thai cultures, and I've seen this in Myanmar as well, is if you're traveling from city to city, and sometimes if it's late, or if the bus stops late, or if you get dropped off late, and you don't have a place to stay, you could go to a temple and sort of knock on the door, right?
Yeah, I thought that. It's an old story.
So he says he's going to New York City from Tallahassee. So you're not first week in America, right? But you're still going to
I was just moving from Florida to New York.
Right.
Yeah, because I got a job.
You have all your stuff.
Yeah.
Carrying it around like
not yet. I was just, look around.
Ah, okay.
Because I came for the interview.
Right.
And then after the interview, and my boss said, like, when can you start? I was like, okay, next week. I come back. Let me fly back to get my stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you go and you go to, where was it, Bronx or Brooklyn? To some temple?
I stayed in the hotel in down south.
Oh, you're going to kill my story here, because I pictured you walking the streets in New York with all your stuff on your back, and you knock on the temple, and the monk at the temple says, "We don't let people stay here like in Thailand."
Well, it's almost like that.
I've told that story. I've lied. So I got to...
No, it's like
all right,
that.
everyone who's listening to my nonsense before, new story from...
Yeah, I got my stuff, but it was just the stuff that I went there for the interview, And then I was just... the hotel where I stay, they have this Thai guy was a bus driver for the hotel.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
what are the chances?
Yeah, so
1 in a million.
I asked him like, "Hey man, I got a job finally, but I don't know where to stay, So he said, "Oh, go ask temple. Go ask monk in the temple." I was like, "Okay."
Great idea.
Yeah, so he took me there. He took me to the temple.
In like the hotel bus?
Yeah.
You're in like the Marriott Midtown driving into Bronx or Brooklyn?
Yeah, I go to the Queens.
Queens, okay. Hello.
Temple in Queens. Like, okay. Yeah, and then I went there and talked to the monk. I was like, "Can you stay here? I got a job, monk." Monk said, "No."
Nicely. No, brother. No, son. Was he a Thai monk?
Yeah.
Okay, so at least...
Bald Thai monk.
Yeah.
With
Orange.
everything.
Yeah, the whole deal.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Was it winter or summer?
It's winter. It's
you're
snowing outside.
You're like, "Bro, let me in. It's snowing. I'll sleep in the basement."
Yeah.
So where were you heading? So who offered you a job?
Well, when I graduated in Full Sail, right, in Florida,
Yeah.
I saw this magazine, Mix magazine, and they came up that month with like, they call it top 15 best studio in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got that booklet, and they got all the phone number, fax number. So I just sending out fax, Back then, not,
People don't understand what you and I are talking about right
Yeah,
now.
so we fax.
All right, name your top 3 magazines from then. Mix. What was your music magazine?
No, now I just...
Back then, Rolling Stone?
Yeah, something like that. Rolling Stone, Sound on Sound.
Sound on Sound, right.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah. God, they were great. I mean, there was so much, these magazines had, and they'd always have one set of sheet music in all these, right? The song you could play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Jam and Stairway to Heaven or something.
And that what get me a job.
Yeah.
Because that the information that I sent out And then I just called them the next day. Oh, you got my fax? You got position? No? Oh, can I come in and see your studio? And they all say, yes, come in, see your studio.
What is that? That's awesome.
Yeah, so I book the flight to New York. I go to every studio, When I get there, just beg it, please give me a job.
So, hey, Shogo and Frank, do you guys know what a fax is when we say fax? Okay,
Yes.
have you ever sent a fax?
I used to be a telephone operator. So
Telephone. Well, that'll be in the podcast 12 when Frank tells us about being a telephone operator.
yeah,
All right. So you're sending these faxes. That's hilarious. It's snowing. You show up. You're walking around. First time in New York?
Yeah, first time.
So you're like, what
go
in the
all
world?
Them. Yeah, go to all 15 studio.
So did you go to Electric Lady?
Yeah, no, that time, no. I
Okay.
didn't go there. Yeah, but different one, yeah. Mostly it's like big studio,
Right,
the one
right.
I went, yeah.
So where did you end up working?
It's called Edison Recording Studio.
Edison Recording.
Yeah,
That's
it's in
Midtown.
47 Broadway, yeah.
47th and Broadway. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
All right, that's by the Edison Hotel.
Yeah, actually it's in Edison Hotel,
Right.
in the ballroom upstairs, yeah.
How awesome is that?
Yeah, there's used to be ballroom for like Duke Ellington playing,
Huh.
yeah, old time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then they converted into the recording studio, so they record like symphony, 60-piece symphony, stuff like that.
Nice.
They're doing like Broadway music. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right on the street, right?
Yeah.
My mother used to visit me when I lived in New York. She stayed there once on a tour package. And it was right in the middle of everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it still is, but I'm sure now with COVID it's different. But so that's cool. So you couldn't afford to live around there, or maybe you could, but you didn't. So where did you live when you were there?
In Queens,
Queens.
Amherst.
Okay.
Yeah, in Amherst.
So you took the train in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you said you had a Thai roommate when you moved there, huh?
Yeah. Oh, so
Was it the driver?
Well, the monk is not that so bad. He said, come back Sunday. People coming Sunday, give food,
There you go.
Yeah, so Sunday come back, ask everybody, oh, you have room for sharing?
Huh.
Yeah.
And so there was something in Amherst in Queens.
Yeah.
So sharing is when you go like on Sunday and do sharing, is that Tomboon or is that something else?
Yeah, Tambun.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Tambun.
that's one Thai word. I actually heard that this week.
Yeah.
Cool. So then you get hooked up with a place. It's far away. It's with another guy who's working hard, and you're commuting back and forth in the train, and you're recording.
Yeah.
Are you a sound engineer at that point?
I started as an assistant engineer.
Assistant engineer.
Yeah, so
And
to set up all the mic, set up all the headphone, position, everything. Control the tape machine. Yeah.
Then is this all orchestral, or is there rock and roll, or is there jazz, or what's the
Well,
deal?
it's a big room, so it's going to be big scale. Usually like commercial music, advertising, like Mercedes, Benz,
Oh,
all
right,
that. And then all like Broadway that you have a lot of people coming in the same time.
Huh.
Yeah.
And did you start to lose control of your own playing at that point? Was there not a lot of time for you to sit and play guitar or play instruments?
No, not much playing because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
all like, wow, amazing.
Yeah.
You look at all those musicians, it's like, wow.
Just pure studio musicians, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah, they come
awesome.
in just every time. I asked them first, I was just so new. I asked the violin guy, in front. He was waiting for his time to be going and play. I was like, what are you going to play today? He said he doesn't know.
Just go
He
there.
would sit in front of the studio, I said, he doesn't know what he's going to play. He go in there, just give out the sheet of music, and they just play.
And just kill it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
in 2 takes,
right?
and left.
So what were your big learnings then? I mean, apart from the fact that you're now meeting professional musicians at the highest level in New York and they're just crushing it. And you're like, wow, these guys are good. What else were your big early learnings from setting up a sound room? When do you start to take on like, I want to build the room that this is done in as opposed to just record it? When do you start to bring in design in addition to recording?
Oh, well, I was just expanding because of, I know many engineers in Thailand who's good at broadcasting studio and acoustic part. So we would just set up the team together and, build all that. And then just get a chance to go to Europe and go to many concert hall and listen to many symphony over there, and then the idea of the good sound is changing, is different. Yeah, so when you start to get the idea, the big picture, then you can start design. The different sound.
Yeah, that's funny because this gets back to sort of how I opened up with you. Is there'd be times where I'd check in with you and you'd be gone, and you said I remember once you got back and you were in France for a 2-week. Was it a month?
A month,
a month.
Yeah, I went for the seminar.
Right.
The mixing seminar.
Right, it was in like a castle.
Or chateau, yeah. It's a chateau. Wow.
Listen to you.
Really far.
Mr. Haisa. But you had this...
Avignon, I think in Avignon.
Right.
Yeah.
So beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Nice
great
town.
Place, close to Spain.
Right.
They still even have a running bull. I was like, what?
Oh, right. Yeah, it's a Pamplona
in France,
thing. Yeah. So so you're Edison Studio. You're a pure sound guy. You're in a sound room that's designed for big recordings. It's professional, and then you start sort of traveling and checking stuff out. And then you start incorporating the design concept into your...
and acoustic. I took a course in sound insulation, noise control.
Noise control.
So that is more like engineering part, not sound.
Right, so like the air conditioning you showed me at the studio, right?
Yeah, and then vibration and all that.
Yes, I mean, maybe just to have a demonstration, not to... I can't say I understand this or even know it, but you've pointed it out to me. Your AC, your air conditioning in your studio, Dynamic Studios, Soi 49 in Bangkok, Thailand here, just to get that focused in on your Google. When you turn the air conditioning on, it's always very cool in the recording areas. You can't hear it. I mean, you can, like this one I can hear even through the headset, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right. How do you, what about engineering makes that occur? Like,
well, the theory is the same as the motorcycle muffle.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the same theory as the horn, like saxophone and trumpet.
Shoving something in.
What happened is the wall type air conditioning, it's just so loud.
Right.
So to make it quiet, you have to leave it outside the room.
Okay.
Further away.
Step one.
And then when the machine is outside, it blows through the pipe. So you blow through the trumpet.
Right.
You make noise.
Right.
So what happened is the motorcycle also, if you don't have muffle, it make really loud noise.
Right.
And then when you have a muffle in it, the noise go down.
Right.
And then the aircon is using the same theory. They build a muffle, but for the cool air, for the wind inside the duct, so it's coming in quiet.
So that's interesting. So if I can picture the duct that's in the guitar room that I like to record in, there's slides. How far away would the muffler be? Is it in like another room, or is it the muffler right on the other side of that?
The muffler will come out direct from the machine.
I see. So it's at
blower.
the source.
Yeah, at the source.
Nice.
Yeah.
Go figure. I mean, Jesus, it's complicated. So
in engineering, you can calculate even the bend and everything. How many dB is gonna come down and matching with the airflow. It's gonna be cool enough, cool enough.
So if I put a dB, a decibel meter up to your the output of the air conditioner in the guitar room, would it register? Would it be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or would it be
around 26 dB?
26.
Yeah, and this one is around 45.
Right.
And we are talking around 65.
And so a loud guitar is 100?
80, 100.
80, yeah, okay.
Yeah, 100.
So it's not totally eliminated. And then I think you talked about Dynamic Studios, and maybe we'll see that. I think you've pointed to the space between reception and then when you enter into the sound area, that you sort of have a freer floating structure, right? Yeah. Can you explain that to me? Because I try and say that to people and they don't know what the hell I'm talking about because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, well, sound itself, usually when it going through air, it can travel through two way. First by air and then travel by the solid structure.
Right.
Yeah. And what happened is when you try to block sound that going through solid structure, you have to actually isolate it by the rubber part. So it actually vibrate on itself. Yeah. Similar to like heavy machinery that you have to have a spring or your car, you have to have a suspension.
So what is your suspension there?
Under there is a neoprene rubber,
Rubber.
like a 1 inch thickness.
Huh.
Yeah, and then they have like the spec, how many kilogram per square meter it can support and all that, and it doesn't attach to the old structure.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And then you also talked to me about sort of I mentioned this earlier. The egg crates or the
The absorber.
sponge, right?
Yeah.
They have a purpose, but you said the base of these things is cinder block or brick or heavy cement is
Yeah, for blocking sound is better. Yeah. It's a mass load law.
sort of a right.
Mass law. Yeah.
Okay, mass load law. So I mean, it's funny when you watch people set up a home studio or do something, and that most of the damage is already done by the structure they're in, right? It's not going to block sound that well, especially the newer buildings we see here in Thailand, right?
Yeah, but it's different. I mean, when I went to Europe and went to see all that old concert hall, back then there's no acoustic.
Right.
Yeah, so they were just like talking, the designer with the musician.
Right.
They go together, and they was like, oh, this sounds good. Then the architect guy was just like, oh, they built it like this. Let's do it this way, and they just guessed everything and put it, and it sounds good, even though it doesn't block sound that much. But so it's just hard on what you're gonna use on it,
Right. I've always wondered about this, because you hear this like, oh, I went to hear the organ recital at this or that church.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, yeah, those are awesome and it's cool and it's fun to sit in there and that's mood.
Mm-hmm.
But the sound, people are like, oh, the echo and the bounce and the sound. And I'm like, yeah, I get that too, but I don't think your average church has the greatest acoustics, or does it? Like,
the purpose is, the thing is, back then for the religion stuff, when the first people gathering, right, there's not many people yet.
Yeah.
So I talk to you, you can hear me okay. And then when you start to have more people, and then people in the back will not get to hear you because it start to be far away. So what you do, you build a stage up. So now you can talk further. People can hear you more. And then you got more people. It's not enough. Now you have to have wall and ceiling and everything. So the room is reverb, create more sound. So people hear through the back. Okay? And then people start to realize that reverb or echo thing sounds great. Yeah. And when the priest talking about something in that echoey place, it just sounds nice.
Gets authority.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sound holy, So that is the thing.
Yeah, you're right.
The bigger the priest sound, and it's just nice,
Good explanation. I mean, so we talked about Bird. Is it Bird? That's how you refer to the Thai artist? Bird?
Yeah, the concert,
So you recorded that at Central?
No, we do the concert at the Central World.
Central World. So it's a larger venue. Have you've done outside venues as well since I've known you, where you've recorded outside? You've helped.
No, I do a lot of concerts actually.
Yeah.
I do many festival sound.
Right.
Yeah, usually reggae.
Right. You got your
by
voice.
the beach.
Right.
Long beach.
Yeah.
All night till the morning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any real? I mean, there's a broadcasting piece of that, and then there's the understanding how sound moves around outside. I mean, how much of the science of...
Oh, man, totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. If you're doing set up for a concert, just Well, it depends on the location. Well, the beach is just really narrow and long. Yeah, so it's different. You have to set up more system. Yeah, and it sounds different because there's no bouncing back. And then you have rain, wind.
Right.
Yeah, many things to worry about. But if you do indoor, then it's totally different thing. You are more worried about reverb, sound, everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think Frank's and my biggest learning recording with you at Dynamic Studios, again, Soy 49 in Bangkok here, was when we were recording wah on the bass, and we moved the amp. We just had troubles recording that, and you had to sort of drag us through that process. I remember I felt like, boy, we're getting to a very technical part of recording here that I'm just not catching. It was just wah on the bass, and the 5-string bass, so it had that low note in there. And that was the one time where it really, you and your team, you did it quickly and fast, but I sort of watched through the glass and didn't go out to figure out what was happening or why. I don't even know if you remember that. Frank, do you remember that? When we just struggled, because we show up with, juggling plates and balls and say, "Hey, can't record this now." And you're like, you've lectured me on a series of different things, but that one I never really figured out what was happening. And so it's interesting to talk with you now today about sort of big space. When in the back of my head, I always think about these things that, not trouble or problems that we have to solve, but getting the sound that we come in with. Making sure that it sounds the best. And that's been the best part of working with you, is on those collaborations for me, is getting that input. And you're such a mellow, calm guy and Joe, there's a Joe on the staff there, and Khun. We've had a lot of luck working with your team there. Frank, I don't know if you remember that. Remember when we tried to record the wah and it was just wasn't happening at first, and then you tried a different setup and it wasn't happening. And we got it to go, but
everything is about choice. First I thought that there is certain way to do it, but after so many seminar from many engineers, they think different. They will all get different sound, and they all Grammy Award engineer, so they all good. It's just like the perspective, like our perspective, like what is good for us, for the musician, for the songs,
Yeah, that's been a sort of a constant refrain of yours, is how to, Kan, how was that? Good. How did that sound to you? You'll say back a lot, when we play it back, and sometimes, like when I play the lead in the same as the rhythm, that was a lecture you gave me, like, you gotta change the sound. I lost my mind for 5 minutes on that, because I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, I can't record. You remember that? I had the rhythm guitar distorted, and then I played the lead with the same. You just sort of talked me off the cliff there for a couple of minutes. That was funny. One of the things I've talked to earlier, I asked you, and I told people who are listening about your travels, and you are a very well-traveled guy professionally, and I've never heard you take a vacation. Frank, have we ever heard? No, he doesn't take vacations.
My seminars, when I go to seminars, my vacation.
Because you're away from us.
Seminar in Europe is great. After seminar, wine, cheese, wow, great.
So I think your work is your life, and your life is your work. I get that. That's like Shogo. A good night of relaxation is doing drum scores. You went to Korea to do a
for
K-pop.
the K-pop seminar,
And you sat down. It was after a week of recording with you. It's a Friday or Saturday night, and you played this stuff for me, and I wanted to throw you out the window, but your studio doesn't have windows. I was like, why are you listening to this? But you said, look, it's the mix. And then you played some work that you did, and it was really complicated. I mean, it was maybe not complicated to you, but I remember sitting down listening to it, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I see I see the steps to this and the complications of it, and the beats are different than other things that were going on.
Yeah, because I countered different problem. With that kind of music, you got like 8 singers.
Right.
How are you going to put everything down and it sounds great?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was eye-opening. So we talked about analog world in the Neve in Orlando and the live performing in Tulsa, and now we've gone through New York and we're back in Thailand, and you've opened up clearly one of the top studios in Thailand, if not Asia, and maybe even in the world. You've had, world leading performers come in, and so you have views on this stuff. You have a personality in your recordings, and there's a sound that you have. But we're in a new world, right? I mean, it is what it is. So you can say it's digital, analog, or whatever. But what are the biggest changes that you've gone through? Are you obviously notice them, and you obviously deal with them, and you take courses for engineering and K-pop, and you take advanced courses in AutoCAD and design, so you can have your team design rooms. And you've showed me, the schematics, and you've showed me things that show very high-level technical skill sets. But, apart from that, which I think is, for you and me both, that's just career evolution and aging, right? Some of that.
Yeah, just everything takes time. So
right. But what are the big things? What are the big changes for you? I mean, where now, like, what is the big evolution in you as a recording professional? It's not just digital. It's not just the change.
No, it's not the machine. Actually, it's the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the beginning, how to record.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I learned from Al Schmidt that he's like 25 Grammy Award.
Right.
That the only thing he's do is just put on the mic, good mic, to good musician, and that's it. That's the magic.
And
not like computer, not like EQ like crazy. It's not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've taken me down those roads where we'll do experimenting with EQ or sound or, heaven forbid, Pro Tools and, vocording and additional tuning and things of that nature. And we've fooled around with all that. And it's fun and it's impressive and it's cool. And I certainly benefit from cutting out mistakes or cutting out things that didn't go the way I wanted to improve, and I get that. But it really is a sound journey always, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But it's different on style too. So have to do the right way to the right style, and that's it.
Yeah.
Just like cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't cook.
Make Thai food and make it spicy, man.
That's what you guys do.
You don't put cheese in that.
Cheese?
No.
Yeah, I got caught doing that at work the other day. That was a failure. The Thai staff was like, "You're just an idiot." And I said, "I know. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm going to put beer and cheese on my larb moo."
Cheese curry.
Cheese curry. The Mastermind cheese curry, please. That's funny. So let's talk about this. You listen. I'll sit in the studio with you. We listened last time to the country band you recorded. I don't know if you want to name them or not, but
Pongsit Kampi.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And I think, Frank, you were there. We all listened to a bunch of that. I don't think they'd mind you telling that. So I'm sorry if I just.
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we listened to that. But every time I go in there, we'll listen to something. And I don't know if you have favorite music. I don't know if you ever like.
Oh man, every music is my favorite music.
But what's on your? I don't even know if your phone does this. But what's on your most played? It could be Roman Anton. It could be Nothing to It or Bodhi Tree. You could have 5,000 listens.
Well,
right?
usually it depends on what kind of music I'm working on at the moment.
Huh?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So K-pop, then K-pop.
K-pop is K-pop.
Yeah,
K-pop
yes.
all day, all night.
So you'd just be spinning it in your head and
Yeah. K-pop. Yeah. And then the next time is like Thai country music. Then Thai country music every day.
Yeah.
Classical music and classical music every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's helpful to me. I mean, knowing that the guys in your studio, Joe and Abe, that you guys do so many different artists. Because we brought in our pin instrument to record.
I love it, man.
We
Sounds
make
great.
this. Yeah, and I was happy how quickly we sort of got a good sound in that, because I was struggling at home with it, and I think Frank and I have struggled. I have a complete different setup with the pickup arrangement we have on the electric than I do on my Fender or my guitars. and I didn't know how that would record.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys got it where I liked it really quickly. Frank, I'm not sure if you liked the sound right away, but I was really comfortable with how the pin was sounding. And I had all this garbage I was going to put on, and I had a delay, and I had the flange, which I always put on, and I had some chorus, and I started stripping that off because it just sounded cool.
Yeah.
I think it's just, it seems to me like that's just years of experience with different folks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Take time. You know, everybody have different ear. And then I went to England, see my friend, sound engineer over there, and they sound different. They listen different from the sound engineer I know in US. It's just different sound. So when they put microphone on, they after different thing.
Yeah.
So that's why you get, you know, European sound and American sound. American sound also have East and West, also different style, you know. Yeah.
It just reminds me of a book I read about the Beatles. I don't know if Jeff Emmerich wrote it or if he was in it or if it was one of these Beatles books, but they talked about the early days recording the Beatles at Abbey Road. If that's what those studios are called, I think it's the Abbey Road Studios, right? There's a lot of detail on mic placement. And I guess after 50 years of writing the Beatles, you know, the early stories are told, and now there's a lot of stuff sort of getting written in very specific detail from some periods. But that one really appealed to me, just listening to that and the experimenting that I guess his name is Jeff Emmerich did with Beatles stuff at a time where it's obviously less technically advanced, but those guys were still struggling to get good sound, right? So that's cool. Well, good. So you didn't even, I don't think you'd offer up a band name if I said, who are you listening to, right?
Now, recently I'm listening to classical music.
What? Like and recorded by you or just online?
Just online, and some dance songs.
Like
reggae.
Taylor Swift dance songs?
Nah, I listen to a lot of Major Racer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what classical stuff? Thai classical or Western classical?
Yeah, Western, European stuff, yeah.
So, examples? Anything?
Like Bach, Beethoven, and many like violin composer, I forgot the name, many. Yeah.
Why is that coming up? Just because of something you worked on, or does it come up next on your playlist through Spotify?
Yeah, just keep changing. I get bored easy.
Yeah,
keep changing.
Yeah.
And to hear like why and how and people record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because if I go to dinner with Shogo and Frank, I mean, they're going to have the phones out and they're going to have 50 different things they're going to look at over dinner. And when I sit in the studio with you, you're going to sit and focus on one song for 4 hours straight if we need to. And your attention span is huge. But then when I see you do like music and other stuff, you're flipping. It just, it's interesting that your job requires such precision for such a long time that you still have an attention span in this day and age, right? Because I mean, we struggle with that, like, you know, in band practice, because we used to do 4 or 5 hours of practice and like holding on and not checking on your phone. You can have a band rule like, no, don't check out your phones, but.
Well, I enjoy listening to music, man.
Yeah.
Just listen. Nice. I make it sound better. Oh, even nice. Right?
Yeah.
What to feel bad about it? Well, I get headache if I get a really bad songs.
There you go.
Okay, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But if I get a good song, life is beautiful.
So let's maybe conclude this part of the podcast here. Where do you see things going maybe on the music scene around the world, and where do you see it going in Thailand in terms of either recording or recording spaces or just trends that you're adapting to or stuff that you're looking forward to challenging? And I just think of sort of in my other work life, like the Zoom podcast for learning stuff is now rampant, right? Everyone's doing that. It's, you want to learn a topic, you go do a Zoom thing, right?
For the music nowadays, I think there's more opportunity. More opportunity for the new generation to make music. And there's more opportunity for them to listen to more music also. You know, like back then, when you want to listen to some songs, you have to just wait until the radio play, and you
Right.
just sit there and listen. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, back then it was like that. You cannot just open YouTube and hear it right away.
Yeah.
You want to know something, you just open YouTube and you know it already.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I remember when you cracked the password on my iBook or whatever the Apple thing I got is because I forgot it.
But now, because of that, you know, so like now there's more people making music.
Right.
Yeah, nowadays.
Yeah.
But the way to make money from it is harder. Yeah, so they have to rethink of the way they sell themselves, you know, from outside to be online and doing show and stuff like that.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I think one of the things I struggle with is I don't know why I get angry about this, or I get mad, or I get sort of, you know, I get a little crazy from time to time, is the reaction to what seems to me, you know, very worldwide successful songs that seem so basic, that seem to be driven from a keyboard, you know, a computer keyboard.
Well,
really.
it's not so true, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the way they put things together would be different.
Yeah.
But the core is the music. It's still the same,
Yeah.
you know.
There you go. You talked me out of it. There you
Yeah.
go. All right. That's what you do. You get me back to the level, middle way, right? The good Buddhist. Well, cool. Well, was there anything you wanted to talk about here today I didn't bring up? Anything you've heard or seen about in Bangkok 2020, August 2020? You going anywhere? You got anything set? You recording anything? You building anything you want to talk about? Or family doing okay? Anything you want to update me on?
Everything is good. Everything
Yeah,
is good. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm busy working. Yeah. Now music start coming back. You know, many customers come in, so it's good.
Yeah, we're playing Queen Bee again tomorrow. We recorded at Speaker Box last week. I forgot to ask you about that. I told the guys they're on Soi 55, which is 55th Street, Thonglor. You're on 49, but
Yep.
it's real close. And the guys, the sound engineer and the owner, wanted to stop by and visit you at the studio. So I said we'd stop by someday and go say hello.
Yeah, so come over.
Yeah. Last question then before we pack up some equipment, go over to the studio and check it out. The podcast is usually in 3 pieces. We have an interview like we just did, or discussion. And then the second piece is playing something or performing something. So we had Max, our good friend Max Rapkin, in last week doing some poetry reading.
Change to go on tour instead.
There we go.
No poetry from me.
Yeah. So we'll go take a look at the studio, but we'll have a performance there, which is going to be checking out you working on your board, and maybe we'll listen to some stuff here. But I have one question. Last closing thing is, you have the tree in front of your house, and so I have a little bit of a tree thing that I'm stuck on, and Bodhi tree is part of it. But that tree seems to be losing more and more branches, but it's still alive, right?
Yeah, it was fall down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who picked it back up?
They call in the guy, pull it out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it's
okay.
and
Didn't hit my customer car.
did it?
No, it just scratched my assistant engineer car.
Okay, that's part of the work risk.
Mm.
So, is there a special story to that tree, or is it just?
No, nothing. Yeah.
But you've taken efforts to keep it
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah. It's good.
You respect the tree.
Good looking.
All right, good looking
Yeah,
tree
it's
that we
good
respect.
looking with the house.
It's in a lot of our Instagram photos and some of the photos that Frank and I have had taken over the years.
I rent that place because of the tree.
There you go.
Yeah, it looks nice. That's a big one. Wow, like in US, you know. In Oklahoma, many big trees. In Bangkok, no big trees.
So you thought the studio looked like Oklahoma. You should have called it Tulsa Studios.
It's crazy.
Oh, that's a good one. Well, hey, I appreciate your coming in today. I know you're always busy, and I know this is time away from the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, Roman Anton, big fans of Dynamic Studios, big fans of Khun Kan, and appreciate everything you've done for us. So thanks for coming on the show.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
Yep. All right.
Okay.
How was that?
1, 2, 3, quiet.
Dynamic Recording Studios. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
All right. And we're at the board. Anything about this board you want to tell me about? It says,
It's just a controller for the Pro Tools system.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so, how long have you been working on this? Since I've known you, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I have this place for like 18 years now.
18 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, and so we've got queued up a song that we just recorded with you. Coincidentally, we're using that Kingpin guitar that we have designed.
Yeah.
You have a couple in your guitar room here.
Mhm.
You have a bunch of good gear in your guitar room, but I thought maybe we'd run through this if you want to strip pieces out or put stuff in it.
Okay.
But sort of when we're done listening to it, you can talk a little bit about it if you want, or we can just end it like that.
Okay.
Okay, why don't you hit it? So we have double track guitars here, right?
Yeah, guitar pin.
So what are you listening for now? Balance?
Now we're just checking the sound out. I already did balance when you were recording. Nice. That sounds cool. So how many? So what am I looking at here? You've got about 5 or 6 mics on the drums or more. Or more. It's
Yeah.
like around 11 mic
11 mics on
on
the
the
drums.
drums. Yeah, and then two tracks for the bass would be bass amp with the mic and bass direct. Yeah, and then you got the guitar. I also use 2 mic to get different sound. Like the first one is 57, and then just Sigma.
Oh, that sounds more remote, huh?
Yeah, and add up together. And on the other pin, I would just use 1 mic.
This is the acoustic. Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
acoustic.
Yeah. So we double tracked pin guitars.
Yeah, electric and acoustic.
Yeah.
Then with the bass and drum. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so everything is all separate.
Can you just do the drum in isolation from somewhere in the song? All the drum pieces. I like that. Is that the tom? The tom?
Yeah. For tom. A second tom.
Yeah. Second tom. That's not a regular song for us. A lot of that, right?
Different composition.
Yeah. Shogo likes to use that. Can we do the guitar at the end and the pieces again, just to hear all of them together? That outro.
This part? Or before
Yeah,
that?
this is it.
With the bass.
So I hear a cymbal. I don't even see it registering. Is that the?
Oh no, I was hoping.
Yeah.
I turned on the wrong one.
That's the acoustic one, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds great. I like
Yeah,
it.
that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in the main control room here, and earlier in our discussion and our talk back at the Roman Anton studios, you talked about neoprene, the padding. Is the sound room on the neoprene, or is it just the recording area?
Now it's in recording area.
Because I feel like this room has this similar sound to the feel of the sound in the recording area as well.
Yeah, it's similar, but just the isolation
Yeah.
is different.
Okay.
Yeah, because we try to block sound over there to come over here.
Right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we can hear more on the speaker.
Right. Yeah, because when I'm in there, you can tell you are in a different sounding room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so we'll take some shots of that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, thanks for showing that to us. We're showing the trade secrets on video here, but this is Kan in Dynamic Recording Studios in the Thonglor studio in Bangkok, Thailand.
Mhm.
It's August of 2020, and he's a busy guy, and I appreciate the time here today. We'll
Okay.
take a walk through here, but I appreciate you doing this today, Kan.
Thank you.
All right, what-
Thank you for
wanna-
coming. สวัสดีครับ
Thanks. All right, good. So now, Kan, we're inside the main recording area of your studio. That's the glass view back into the board room. We do guitars and vocals in this room. We've done them out here.
Yeah.
You will put your bass amp on the other side of that wall
Yeah,
when
so
we
it
play
can-
live.
Yeah, so the bass doesn't bleed through the drum.
Do you get zero bleed through?
No, just tiny bit. It's coming through,
A
yeah.
couple decibels?
Yeah, it's just a tiny bit, you
Mhm.
know. Usually I balance like the sound,
Yeah.
you know.
And earlier when we talked about the venting, and this
Yeah.
this is
Up
pretty
here,
much
yeah, up here is all like pipe,
yeah.
you know, aircon pipe
Yeah.
is coming through. Yeah, so it's quiet.
So I've noticed you do have some baffles, or you have some padding in particular spots over the drumming.
Mm-hmm.
What is this for? I mean, this isn't, obviously you don't care if it's loud in here or noisy. What is that for?
It's for the reduce the reflection of the vocal is going to the microphone.
And so you'll have your vocal stand here.
Yeah.
And do you have a similar one in here when you record vocals? I never noticed.
Oh no, that one we have the angle ceiling
Right.
up there.
Okay.
In that room. This one we try to angle it, but the ceiling is really low, so
And so that would bounce away from the microphone then if there was...
actually we bounce back to the microphone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we put absorption so it doesn't bounce back to the microphone.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now we have a freestanding structure that's on neoprene, right? So
Yeah.
you've put neoprene around this whole part of the studio, that room, the room outside this door, the room back here.
Actually it's on the floor and
Yeah.
the wall is just space.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't touch
Yeah.
the main construction.
And so just even talking in here, it's a real different feeling
Mm-hmm.
in your ears than when we talk
Mm-hmm.
at my Roman Anton studios or in the sound room, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very warm, sort of soft sound in here.
Yeah, it's more dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Less reverb. Yeah.
More dead sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm learning that in the Thai language. High, dead, low.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay. Dead sound. I'm not sure,
mhm.
but cool. So I noticed in the video when I saw the guys, the country band fellows, you have is that stone or stone?
Yeah, stone wall.
What's the thinking on that?
It's to reflect the symbol,
Huh.
make it brighter.
Oh, so does that come back? It hits and comes back, or?
Yeah, it's come
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Huh. And so, like you said, when you looked at the song we just played for the Kingpin tracks, you said you had many mics on the drum setup, and so we're seeing that in here now.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed you have like portable baffles back there. What would you set those up for?
Just to make more diffuse for the wood sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wood sound for the drums or for instruments?
Or instrument. Anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just different choice.
Well, cool. Anything else about the studio you want to bring up, or am I running you out of topics to talk about here?
Yeah, not much. Now we have 4 room.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can record 4 instruments at the same time.
Yeah.
Separately.
What's nice for me too is you got the reception area out front, and then you got the kitchen and the bathroom and the area in back where we eat a lot. Sometimes I'll sit back there. And I know sometimes some of the bigger artists here will book your studio for weeks. And it's real comfortable to come here and hang out. And so I've got parking right out front, middle of Bangkok. So good setup here. But thanks for showing us this, and thanks for letting us take pictures.
Okay.
Frank and I and Shogun, I've spent a ton of time in here, and Roger in our first lineup for the band. We spent a ton of time in here. I love recording in that room. I think when I ask people to do the podcast, I ask them, where would you like to go? Where can we go? And we agreed we'd come to the studio here today.
Mm-hmm.
If I were doing my own podcast on me, I would say that's my favorite place in Bangkok is that recording room back there. But I don't think I'll take someone there. Maybe I'll take them on the river in a boat or something like that. But Ken, it's good seeing you again.
Thank you for
Appreciate
coming.
it. Yeah, thanks.
1, 2, 3, quiet.